So, before we even get started, first warning, this movie is 3 hours long. Second warning, it is in French with subtitles. Hey, what's going on, people? Welcome back to Small Couch Reviews. It's your boy, Sam. Now, this movie, its 2002 counterpart, starring Jim Caviezel, is actually in my top 10. I love this story. It is my favorite revenge story, just period. So, of course, I was going to go see the 2024 remake. I did not care if it was in French and I had to read subtitles. And I gotta say, it's very good. Now, just so you know, this is not a one-to-one adaptation of the Alexander Dumas book on which this is based. Neither was the 2002 film, which I am going to reference because I do think it's valid here. But neither one of them are a one-to-one translation or adaptation of the book. There are characters that are missing. One movie has characters that are in the book that the other one doesn't. But they do keep the essential elements alive. The letter, the plot, and the revenge. Okay, so recap. In case you have no idea what the Count of Monte-Cristo is. Minor spoilers, even though this is like 200 years old. Alright, takes place in 1814, 1815, something like that. Napoleon, Napoleon, the emperor, short dude, he has been banished to this island called Elba. He's no longer the emperor, he's just been sent there to die. Our main character, Edmond Dantes, unfortunately gets hold of a letter from Napoleon that is basically, it's a plot to bring Napoleon back to power, which, it's a traitorous thing to do. People then conspire to frame Edmund as the traitor and, get themselves out of trouble, and they do successfully and get him sent off to prison. The conspirators are one of his rivals on his ship, the prosecutor of the town, and his childhood friend who is a count. A count is kind of like a royal title, like you're just an aristocrat. So, he's of a wealthy family. And like I said, they're childhood friends. But this friend frames him as a traitor, tells his fiancée that he is dead, marries said fiancée, and has a child with her. Typical best friend stuff, right? Anyway, Dantes is then sent off to a prison that is essentially hell, where he is stuck for 15 years. But there's a silver lining here. While there, he meets a man who teaches him history, economics, mathematics, like just things to make his mind more cunning. And he also shares the location of a secret treasure with him. Dantes escapes, finds this treasure, and uses it to rebrand himself. Come back to society as the man known as the Count of Monte-Cristo. Monte-Cristo being, the island where the treasure was. Dantes now uses his new title as a count and all this money to plot revenge against those three people who did him wrong. Now, just for context, I did recently watch the 2002 version after I watched this 2024 version. And I will say the 2002 version still does hold up, the Jim Caviezel version. So, you might be wondering, you have a 2024 version that is 3 hours long. You have a 2002 version, which I've mentioned is still in my top 10, that is 50 minutes shorter. So why wouldn't you watch the 2002 version that is in English and you don't have to read subtitles for? Well, that's because this 2024 version is a lot more dramatic. Definitely more beautifully shot because of the updated technology. And our Edmond Dantes, played by, I hope I say his name right, Pierre Niney, gives an astounding performance. Look, the characters in this movie, in this story, are actually what make it. And I think that's why, I love this narrative so much, which is why I've watched both these adaptations and I've read the book multiple times, right? You guys know I'm big on characters' motivations and why you're doing what you're doing. And this story, I feel, it's the most realistic look at that. Yes, there's basic, human greed and avarice in here, right? But Edmund himself, his revenge is so different than other revenge stories we've seen. We've seen the guy or the girl who's been wronged and they're like, oh, nah, I'm getting you back. The Punisher comes to mind. You killed my family, I'm going to kill everyone responsible. Edmond Dantes is not a superhero. He's not a super cop. And the way he goes about getting his revenge is just very calculated and cold and patient. And he will not give it up. One of the central themes of this this narrative that I find fascinating. It keeps popping up. It's told by the guy who tells him initially about the treasure. It's told by his, co-conspirators in his revenge. They tell Dantes, they're like, you have this money. Yes, you've been done wrong. You have this money. Are you going to do good with it? Or are you going to let your heart fill with hate and go after revenge? Now, of course, he goes after revenge, like I think you or me would, because there's no way we're going to let these people get away with it. But as the story continues, it's just fascinating seeing him harden his resolve. He's getting his revenge, but there's collateral damage. Things are happening that he wasn't expecting to happen. People are getting hurt. But he keeps on telling himself, they deserve it, and I have nothing but my hatred. And I love that motivation for him. Pierre Niney, this actor, his face, Jim Caviezel in the 2002 version, yeah, he was fine, but he wasn't as good. I'm just going to be frank about it. He was good, but he wasn't as good as this guy. This dude is so pissed, and you can feel it. I don't speak the same language as him, but he doesn't even have to speak. You can see it in his face, in his eyes, the fury, the betrayal, the hatred, especially as he learns how many different people went against him, basically, to plan this. Because at first he thinks it's just one dude, and he's like, all right, well, I can get past this. I'm not going to jail for that. But as he learns of how deep this conspiracy runs and why people did what they did to him and the greed that was involved with it, it fuels him, and he doesn't get over it. One thing this movie does better than that 2002 version too, which I'm going to stop comparing it to eventually, but Edmond Dantes, when he becomes the Count, this dude actually, he gets makeup and facial prosthetics to change his appearance. And he takes his time. That extra 50 minutes wasn't put to waste. That's what I'm trying to get at here. This is years of plotting, years of recruiting, years of learning these people's lives. Because something else he does, he can't just kill them, no. They have to suffer as he suffered before he allows them to die. So good. So good. Now, like I said, the actual revenge and seeing what happens, in this version, I think it's better than what was done before. A lot better, honestly. But Edmond Dantes in this revenge, while that's all great, the actual people who are responsible for it, their motivations, the villains of this movie, if you will, they are excellent as well. You have his shipmate who becomes a captain, who's doing this out of greed. You have the prosecutor who has a secret that he needs to hide. And then you have the Count, his best friend, who at the very surface just seems like, oh, he's jealous of his wife and he wants his family, right? He's very jealous of the dude's fiance. That is true. He wants it. But something I love about this one, the best friend's betrayal, he's a Count. He has everything you think someone someone in life would want. He has the money. He can have any girl he wants. But he sees his friend happy with this one girl, happy with this, for lack of a better word, mediocre position, because, he's not rich or anything. And he's happy with the life he has. And that alone is why are you happy with your life? And I have so much more than you, and I'm not happy with my life. I need to take that away from you. Yes, it's a douche move. Yes, it's a jerk thing to do. But I find that level of thinking, that is just fascinating to me. It's not something I see a lot, and that's probably why this sticks with me. Guys, outside of that, really, this is a 3-hour movie that felt like 2. It's kind of like, the Batman. Or even, I think it's even better paced than the Batman. There's not really a dull moment. It's a gripping adventure film. Yeah, so at the end of the day, yeah, if you have never heard of this story, this is the perfect version to watch. You will not be disappointed, subtitles and all. I really don't have much else to say. I think this is great. I think you should watch it. 4.5 out of 5. Thank you so much for sticking around through my rambling, y'all. I appreciate it. And until next time, I'm out.